welcome. What is left of Sixers fandom?
Sicko Nation.
Sicko Nation. Only the sickest of the sickos are still here. It is a Saturday at noon. It is March Madness. You got to be a legitimate sicko to be number one talking about this team right now, but listening to us talk about this team, you got to be a legitimate sicko. But thank you guys for being here. I am DJ Eastwood, running back Philly. This is NZ for 3. We are live on Twitter, Twitch, and on NZ's YouTube channel because I am suspended from live streaming on YouTube for a copyright strike that still has, I think, 70 days left on my suspension. But we'll be back soon. Thanks, NZ, for collabing with me and essentially branching this out to your own YouTube channel.
No worries, man. Us sickos got to stick together through these tough times, and it's almost over, everybody. I know it's been such a drag these past couple of weeks just with this team gloriously tanking. I think that's what the approach has been pretty much since the start of the year. Lose every single game possible. This draft class is stacked, and the Sixers need to get that top 6 pick and try and salvage this absolute train wreck of a season. So it's been going well so far. There's still couple more weeks left into the season, but yeah, man, I can't wait for it to end. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too. I can't wait for it to end. That is true. A lot of people haven't accepted it yet. I still get a lot of comments that are like, really, this is what we're doing? Really, we're losing on purpose? Really? I'm like, bro, you gotta, it is what it is. You gotta accept it. I got a comment yesterday that was like, it was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work out real well. We want to lose, and that's how the process started last time. And I was like, brothers, what choice do we have? Because we tried to win and we started 3-15. Yeah. So winning wasn't an option.
Getting blown out to the worst teams in the league and the best teams in the league without their best players.
Yeah.
And no, you said this multiple times. The Sixers that are playing right now could probably beat the Sixers from earlier in the season when they had actual expectations. And that just goes to show just how backwards the Sixers are when it comes to roster construction and not prioritizing any youth or athleticism and going towards the trend of the modern NBA. I mean, I was looking at the OKC Thunder's roster, just the Thunder, probably the favorite to make it out of the Western Conference, my favorite at least, because they're just flat out stacked, man. Got Sixers legend Isaiah Joe, probably soon to be an NBA champion.
Hall of Famer, probably.
Possibly. Might get a statue outside that arena. Well, the Thunder only have one player on that roster under the height of 6'4", and 6'4" is around the average height in the NBA, and the Thunder only got one dude. They're just stuffed with guys who are 6'6", 6'5", 6'7", you know what I mean? SGA, 6'6", Isaiah Joe, 6'5", Lou Dort, 6'4", Aaron Wiggins, 6'6". Like, so much of these just youth players who have energy can run up and down the court without getting that little Gatorade cup next to them, like an NBA 2K when your player's gassed. That's what happens to Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon after 2 strides.
The stamina bar goes down so fast.
Exactly, yeah. But nah, dude, the Thunder just keep running and gunning, and they know how to build an NBA franchise. Granted, did they get punished a little less for them tanking? Like, dude, they literally just paid Al Horford to sit home when we had to trade
for a whole season.
OKC. NBA didn't do anything, but whatever, man. The Thunder are just a much better organization.
No, we were talking about it right before we went live that the balance of youth and athleticism and versus experience, and for some reason this season, Daryl Morey and all of his AI models leaned all the way towards experience and totally threw out the window age and injury possibility. They threw out everything and went full on 100% whoever the most experienced players are, that's who we want on the team. And you ended up with Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, and all these dudes are washed. You know what I mean? And that was the supporting cast. And that's why they started 3-15. It's not really just because Joel was hurt or Max or Paul George was hurt. They lost all those games to those bad teams because of that 40-year-old supporting cast that couldn't keep up with, the Toronto Raptors or whatever other young team they were running them off the floor.
they literally couldn't keep anybody in front of them, and were getting just blown out when it comes to transition points and points of pain. And like when it comes to AI and everything, like why can't I just root for a normal organization? Like we had a GM who was using burner accounts, and that like represented that era. But now we got like in the AI on the come up, we got Daryl Morey using AI to make significant decisions. Like, he said in that press conference or something that they definitely like holds a couple votes in their decision making process or whatever.
It's one of the scouts. That's how he said it. Like
one of the scouts.
Yeah, they have a they have a scouting department, and then they use AI as another version of an NBA scout.
Like, does Sam Presti use AI? Does Danny Ainge use AI? Does Brad Stevens use AI? Does Daryl Morey ask AI what cereal to eat in the morning? It is a train wreck. That's just how much the Sixers have fumbled this entire season and the offseason, and how just not conducive it is to winning in the NBA. I'm not going to go do any revisionist history here. Like, people were saying that Morey had a good offseason and everything, but we're not getting paid the big bucks to make these decisions. And not only did you sign Paul George to that horrible contract, you also gave Embiid that extension as well, knowing everything that was wrong with him, in the Olympics and going off the surgery. It's a lot that the Sixers are going to have to fix this summer.
It's wild. I don't think AI is good enough yet to use it to run a sports organization. You know what I mean? Like half the time I try to voice text with Siri and she says something totally different than what I said. I don't think AI is good enough to be like, hey, should we leverage billions of dollars over the next 5 years on this player or these two players or whatever? Daryl Morey's he's interesting, man, because there's two sides of it. He's been great at drafting, and then he totally wins the Quentin Grimes trade, and it's like, damn it, like he does some really good things, and then he does some really bad things that set you back for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, like Morey, like as much as like Sixers fans like to bash on him, like he definitely knows basketball. Like you don't just get all these diamonds in the rough and make these great draft picks when it comes to Maxey, Jared McCain, Isaiah Joe, and like even like getting like undrafted guys like Justin Edwards.
Ricky Council's undrafted too.
Yeah, Ricky Council as well. Like when I turned off that Thunder game when they got blown out, I immediately thought that Justin Edwards would be a guy who would be on the OKC Thunder, the exact type of player that the Thunder would find, just someone who they saw potential in and actually gave playing time to, because Isaiah Joe got waived, man, because Doc Rivers wouldn't play anybody below the age of 87. And now look where he is now. He's a significant contributor to a championship level team. And that's awesome, man, that he was able to get out of this organization, but who knows? But yeah, man, just the Sixers.
I think they have. I think they've been having a problem too of hiring coaches and giving the coach partial decision making over the roster, and then there's like this battle between, because you don't draft a guy like Isaiah Joe and not play him at all. It doesn't make any sense. So clearly there was two different things going on there, which is probably why Doc Rivers got fired. Now it's interesting to see what happens, with Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey. But what we're going to do here is, one of the segments we're going to do is we're going to look at the worst free agent signings in Philadelphia 76ers history and the worst trades in 76ers history. And we're going to decide if the Paul George signing is the worst of all time. And really, when you think about it and you look at some of these, it might actually be the worst signing in 76ers history. But first, this is brought to you by Mando full body deodorant. Mando is a full body deodorant that comes in many forms and has 72-hour protection. You don't want to stink like the 76ers franchise. You got to get yourself some Mando. There's a full body deodorant. If you happen to be running around all weekend, no matter where you wake up, you're going to wake up smelling just as fresh as when you first put it on. Mando starter pack for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, get $5 off your starter pack with the exclusive code SICKOS, SICKOS. That is about 40% off the Mando starter pack. Go to shopmando.com and use promo code SICKOS to get your starter kit, man. I really think the Mando's changing the deodorant game, and the 76ers need major changes also. Yeah, let's go right to it, man. I got two websites here. The one is the 8 worst signings in Philadelphia 76ers history. And then there is the 5 worst I believe, hold on, top 5 worst trades made in 76ers history. So
are all these going to be in the last 10 years?
No, these are of all time. I think one of the trades is a Wilt Chamberlain trade. So we're gonna have we're gonna have to attempt to give our opinion on things that happened way before we were ever around.
Sure.
Number 8 worst signing in 76ers history is our boy Tobias Harris. So this article is telling us that there's 7 worse signings than Tobias Harris. Yeah, what do you think? I think that should be probably, without even seeing the list, I think that should be higher.
That should definitely be a lot higher. Look, Tobias, he's been decent this year. Pistons are an up and coming team, and he's going to be making the playoffs while the Sixers will be in Cancun, hoping they get that number 1 pick. But I mean, yeah, just with the way Tobias has just handicapped this team for years, I can't see this just being the number 8 worst signing in Sixers history. Given that, Tobias, he was an average role player, you know what I mean? Just a bit above average of a scorer, but really could not do anything else. Was soft on the rebounds, put up nice rebounding numbers, but when you actually watch the game, bro, barely boxed out at all. And he was just always an inconsistent floor spacer, and that's not the type of player that you need next to Joel Embiid. You need a guy who is ready to fire at a moment's notice. And Tobias did have his great seasons where he was decent from 3. His best season probably was in like 2021, where he almost had a 450, 40, 90 season, but it was just never enough. And the Sixers bench was always depleted, and he was never a serious third option. Like, you can't have Tobias Harris as your third option on a championship team. And that Knicks series,
well, when he came back, speaking of his effort and rebounding, like, what is it about playing for the Sixers that guys just suck? Because when he came back and played the Sixers his first time back as a Detroit Piston, I'm pretty sure he had 15 rebounds.
yeah. I just don't get it. Like, they just ball watch every single time. Like, they just expect somebody else to get the ball, and then they just get destroyed on the offensive glass. But like with Tobias, just with his utility, you know what I mean? As a defender, dude, they were just sticking him or at least on offense, they were just sticking him in the corner. He wasn't doing anything. And in that Knicks series, it really showed, bro. Like, he just ghosted, especially in game 6, scoring 0 points. And that's the kind of thing that we never really had in Philly. Guys who would really play up to the spotlight against these physical teams like the Knicks, like the Raptors all the way back. These guys would just kind of shrink and not really respond and sort of play against what they're best at. And you saw that in the Knicks series, man. Tobias was airballing fadeaways.
I think
wide open layups. It was disgusting.
I think Tobias Harris is my number 1 on this list. Even when I think about the Paul George signing, and I think Tobias Harris is the worst signing in 76ers history because it was 6 years of Joel Embiid's prime.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Say that, man. And
the contract held the team back from signing mid to high level role players. Like the Knicks series that they lost, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby, all 3 combined did not make the money that Tobias Harris made that year. And he had 0 points in his game 6.
Bro, Kelly Oubre Jr. was about to be exiled from the NBA. Then Morey signs him to a 1-year deal, and he had a much more significant impact on the Sixers than Tobias, just because he had so much more energy and was a lot less passive. Sometimes people would say that that's to Kelly's detriment, but still, he actually wasn't scared of the moment, and he was pretty decent in the Knicks series shooting wise, where you expect like him kind of as more like a shot chucker or whatever, his numbers to decrease in the postseason. But nah, man, he had some great games against the Knicks and was playing some decent defense as
Kelly
well.
Kelly Oubre turned into like a decent shooter with Joel Embiid on the floor. I mean, it's amazing how good Joel Embiid makes everyone else when he's healthy, because you got to double, triple team him every play. Kelly Oubre, that one season, it was like, what do you mean he's a 20% shooter? He looks like a 40% shooter to me. And then this year, Joel Embiid's out the whole year. Kelly Oubre's back to being Kelly Oubre. So yeah, that is a wild. The Joel Embiid effect is real.
For sure.
But yeah, the Tobias Harris contract being what it was, and they couldn't trade him because his value was not even close to that contract. So they sat on him for 6 years, and it sucks that it was honestly 6 years of Joel Embiid's prime where you could have put a stronger supporting cast around him, but you had Tobias Harris that entire time. Wonder what's next on this list. That was number 8. What do we got to hit next? Number 7, Jared Bayless.
Jared Bayless. Okay.
Why is this?
Wasn't expecting that. Yo, dude, do you remember when, there was that that one reporter or something that we thought was paid off by Tobias Harris? Like, it was earlier this offseason, something happened when he signed with the Pistons, and then this reporter is like talking crap about the Sixers or whatever. That was Keith Pompey?
Yeah, Keith Pompey. Oh, no. You're talking
dude, it had
about,
to be a different one.
No, you're talking about the dude from Clutch Points or I forget his name. Is this written by him? Sure, this might be written by him. I'm not even going to read that. Jared Bayless being one of the worst signings. Well, I guess why is it the worst? His first season in Philly, he played 3 games due to a wrist injury, and he made $3 million for each game he played. He made $9 million in one season.
What? Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. That's why he's on this list. We paid Jared Bayless we signed him to a 3-year, $27 million contract. Jared Bayless. I think he played for Brooklyn before we signed him, but wow. That's pretty bad. Kwame Brown.
The legend.
Kwame Brown. How much money did we pay Kwame Brown? After 11 seasons, Kwame Brown was already the biggest bust in NBA history. I mean, maybe Greg Oden, maybe Anthony Bennett. Remember Anthony Bennett?
Bennett, yeah.
So he played 11 seasons. He was the biggest bust ever, and the 76ers gave him a 2-year contract. Yeah, I don't know how you could say this is worse than Tobias Harris.
Wasn't that the same money Andre Drummond was making? Around that number?
Yeah.
I mean, Drummond, he's legitimately been probably the worst backup center I've ever seen in the Joel Embiid era. Like, dude, he was so much better when we signed him in the 2022 season, but when he comes here again, bro, he was horrible.
Yep. Hey, shout out to everybody in here. Stay tuned. I think we'll do a little Q&A towards the end of the show, so stay active in the chat. You know what I mean? Drop some hot takes, some questions. Kenny Thomas, this had to be around the 1999 draft.
K9.
When Thomas became a free agent, the Sixers had a decision to make. They chose to re-sign him for 7 years, $50 million.
What?
In 2003.
Make a contract that long?
I guess in 2003, you could sign a guy to 7 years, $50 million. And he only played 1 full season. And he started 2 games. Yeah, that's pretty bad. What do we got next? Scott Williams. I still don't feel like any of these players hindered the team as much as Tobias Harris. And again, it's that 6 years of Joel Embiid's prime, because if you look at Kenny Thomas in 1999, right? And he played 1 season for the Sixers. He didn't hold back a team that had the possibility of winning a championship. Iverson was just there, and it was like year 2 of Iverson's career.
Right.
So yeah, that's the main reason I think Tobias Harris is the worst ever.
And just to touch on Tobias Harris, like, you could just go look at his box score in the playoffs or whatever and say, oh, he's putting up like 15, 16 points per game. But bro, if you would really watch him, what did he actually do? I feel like teams just sagged off of him the entire time just to give Joel Embiid hell. And all these games, like, dude, the 2023 series against the Boston Celtics, Tobias Harris, I think in one of the elimination games, dude, in game 6, he had like 3 points. I'm going to it right now. He had 3 points, but in game 7, he had like 24, and everybody was saying, oh, well, Tobias was the only one who showed up. But bro, they were giving Joel Embiid and James Harden the maximum amount of, defensive pressure because they were okay with Tobias Harris putting up his 17 points because they knew it really wasn't going to impact anything in the long run. But as long as they shut down Embiid, everything went downhill for the Sixers, and Tobias just could not make wide open threes.
That's really how it always was, man. When you think about Embiid's career, you know, I know a lot of people like to talk about he never got it done and he never steps up in the big moments and he's not a leader and all these things about his personality. I'm not saying those things aren't true. I've definitely seen signs of him being like a kind of a mopey crybaby on the court at times, and
yeah, for sure.
not much of a leader personality wise. But when you think about the rosters around him, he never had another star in their prime that could take the ball and do something in the fourth quarter of a playoff game when he was getting triple teamed on the block. You know what I mean? That's all he ever needed. James Harden kind of, but James Harden was past his prime. But even James Harden past his prime was, I feel like, the only star player Joel Embiid ever had that could take the ball in the fourth quarter and get something done. And he did for 2 games out of 7. And the other 4 games, he, you know, was the worst player on the court. So
yeah, that's definitely interesting. I mean, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, those 2 games where Harden went bonkers, that was game 1 and game 4. And game 2 and 3, the Sixers lost. So Harden was hitting some really clutch shots, like in both of those games. Like, dude, the one in game
was one
4,
of them without Embiid? Was one of them without
yeah,
Embiid?
the game 1 was without
in
Embiid.
Boston?
Yeah, in Boston.
That's
huge.
And
then game 3 I think was it like game 4 or something in Philly? He hit that nasty 3 in the corner when he was leaning. If you remember that, when Embiid got it to him, he hit that 3 and the Sixers took the lead and ended up winning the game. So the Sixers actually could have gotten swept in that series if Harden didn't go bonkers. But yeah, definitely, I think you make a good point when it comes to his motivation and whether he got that max contract, he would have not have, taken his body as seriously as he seemed to have had in LA.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I still think on any given day, I'm taking a quote unquote declining James Harden over what Paul George is giving you. Because James Harden, as much as like we like to 100%. Rip on his attitude sometimes, he is the best passer I've ever seen. And there is nothing better to put next to a big man that doesn't really move the ball well. Embiid has improved significantly as a playmaker, but having one of the best point guards of this generation, and then you got Tyrese Maxey, one of the best off-ball players. Harden made Maxey play the most efficient ball of his career.
He did,
and I think people would say like, oh, he would have minimized Maxey's development or anything. I don't really think so. I think Harden would have realized, because look what he's doing with Norman Powell. Norman Powell's averaging like 24 points per game, having a career year.
Yeah.
With James Harden over there swinging him the rock. So I still proudly wear my James Harden jersey at games.
No,
I only went to one game, but
I've said lots of times that he is the best passer I've personally ever seen. I think it just looks so easy to him. And when he was like in good shape or looked like he was at least well rested, he was unbelievable, especially right when he got to Philly. And I got so annoyed with the way that he did things, and you could tell the difference. You could just tell a night and day difference of games where he was prepared and games where he was in the club until 5 a.m. And then you would see videos and pictures on Twitter and everything of him popping bottles and all this. I was like, this guy doesn't give a shit, and it pissed me off. And yeah, I think he got pushed to, like, when he went to the Clippers, he had to have a meeting with himself. You know what I mean? Is this going to be the end of my career, or am I going to get my ass in shape this offseason and work towards the next, playing another 3 or 4 years in the NBA at a high level? And he said in an interview that he's been taking his sleep schedule more seriously. And it's crazy. I was saying that the whole season. I'm like, I can tell, because I'm in my mid-30s. I know when I'm hungover and tired, bro, I can't do anything. You know what I mean? I could tell when that dude was hungover and tired versus when he was well rested. And now he signs with the Clippers, takes his sleep schedule and his diet seriously, and he has the Clippers playing some damn good basketball.
For sure,
it is
man.
what it is. They did. Players leave Philly and just do better things, man.
I mean, both Jimmy Butler and James Harden and we kept Tobias Harris around and only signed podcast Tobias Harris. It's a disaster, bro.
Tobias Harris with a podcast. All right, I think Horford's in my top 3 worst signings of all time. He's number 3 on this list. Elton Brand took over, and you had all the cap space and all the draft picks that Sam Hinkie stacked, and you could have put any team around Joel Embiid, And I don't know if it was. I still kind of believe that Elton Brand was the scapegoat for ownership. I think a lot of it was owners. There was like 5 owners at the time that rumored to have their hands in certain things, and then they all sold their stake or disappeared, left, and stepped down. Scott O'Neill and the guy that throws the weird celebrity parties, Michael Rubin. Yeah, all those weirdos. I think some of those guys were in control of the roster, and they shouldn't have been. But anyway, you could have built the perfect team around Joel Embiid. You had all the assets, all the draft picks, all this cap space, and they said, let's put another center next to him and do Twin Tower 1995 Tim Duncan, David Robinson. Just unbelievable decision making.
And they forgot Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris were on the team.
Yeah, you got a point guard that won't shoot. You got a wing that kind of won't shoot. He shot like 3 threes a game.
Yeah, really.
Then you got 2 centers, and the only guard on the floor was Josh Richardson.
And our guy, Trey Burke.
And Trey Burke, who Brett Brown wouldn't even play. Every time he went out there, he looked like Allen Iverson mini. I was calling him Walmart Allen Iverson. And the reason he looked like that is because he was the only fucking guard on the whole team.
Well, and then you had Raul Neto, though, too. Brett Brown's long-lost son, who he played for some reason, consistent minutes. Yeah, dude, that was probably – I did not think that the 2020 Sixers season could be topped with just how hopeless the fan base would feel. But this season, I think it might be worse. I don't know. Because my initial thoughts about the Horford signing, like in retrospect, yeah, it definitely sucked a lot. But the Sixers were able to at least move on relatively quickly after that season.
But it required a new GM. And that's what's going to have to happen. That's what's going to have to happen. That's what's going to have to happen with the Paul George thing. It can't be the same GM. It has to be a new GM coming in and fixing some things.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, that top 6 pick that we hope falls into the Sixers' hands on my birthday, May 12th. That's when the draft lottery is. And also on May 12th, my birthday that's when Kawhi Leonard hit that shot. So I don't know if the Sixers are going to have much luck on that day.
Your birthday's on the draft lottery?
Yeah, May 12th, man.
Dude, so that's amazing.
Or it won't be if we get number 7. But if we end up getting Cooper Flag, that would be fantastic. Probably one of my best birthday gifts. You know what?
There's probably going to be another lottery party. Rights to Ricky Sanchez lottery party.
They scheduled it.
They did?
Yeah, they already scheduled it, man.
So there's going to be a lottery party at but you're not 21. You can't get in.
Gosh darn it. I mean, it's not like I was really going to – it's not like I really felt like driving into Philly on my birthday anyway. But like with the Horford situation, man, I think it kind of depends. Like if the Sixers are able to get their top 6 pick, because thank goodness that pick was protected in the if it's within the top 6, we get it back, obviously. But if it doesn't, it falls out because we had to attach that to the Horford deal. It's going to be a lot worse in retrospect. But if we end up getting that pick, I'd be fine with the Horford signing. He never worked out here anyway. It didn't really make sense. And now he's an NBA champion, and we have to deal with that for the rest of our lives.
Matt Geiger. I remember Matt Geiger being on the Sixers during the Iverson era. I don't remember too much about him. He never made more than $1.6 million. Sixers gave him a 6-year, $51 million contract.
Was it Billy King or something, like the GM? Like, what's going on, man? Like,
yeah, he's rated as one of the worst ever. I cannot imagine that. He also there was a Tracy McGrady trade early in the Iverson career that was apparently on the table.
Dude, I heard of that.
That he failed to pull off.
What's even crazier is I think he was responsible. He was the executive for the Nets, I think, when they made that trade when they stacked up Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Celtics for they got them for all those picks. They gave away all those picks that turned into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
That was Billy King?
Yeah, dude, he was the executive that season. Oh my
God. That set them back for 10 years.
Yeah,
the Celtics came off of that Isaiah Thomas runner-up MVP season. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals with Isaiah Thomas, and they had the number 1 pick in the draft because of Billy King.
Yep. Yeah, at least we got
incredible.
At least the Sixers got a brain dead GM to fleece, since Nico Harrison apparently is selling off all his best players, and we were able to get Quentin Grimes, man, who's flat out better than Paul George. I mean, think about it. The Mavericks fumbled Jalen Brunson, Luka Doncic, and possibly Quentin Grimes. I mean, that is like a textbook way to implode your franchise, and he's got to be fired.
Matt Geiger, career high 13.5 points. And they signed him to 6 years. He only made it to the 4th year and had to retire due to knee injuries. Hey, maybe we follow the same trend.
Foreshadowing.
And Paul George retires due to knee injuries. I don't wish this upon anybody. I feel bad even saying that as a just a human being to another. But from looking at it from the franchise and what the best thing that could happen for this franchise, I think Paul George retiring due to knee injuries, and Joel Embiid, I love you, but if he retires, we don't have to pay him for the next 3 years.
Yeah, maybe they figure something out, but I think enough's enough. I mean, we have McCain, we got Maxey. I mean, we were saying earlier, like the NBA is going towards, bigger guards, and whether the Sixers are able to actually build around Maxey or McCain, that has yet to be seen. I think you can definitely make a decent team with them at the helm, especially if they continue to get that chemistry, because that's something the Sixers have lacked, man, for so long. They kept turning around these rosters. They had the highest roster turnover year after year, a completely different team. And that's kind of what makes like the James Harden signing or refusal for Morey to sign him a little bit worse, because was he kind of on a bit of a decline? Sure, but he would have grown more alongside Embiid and Maxey. And you see like the Celtics and the Nuggets, Tatum, Brown, Jokic, Murray, they've been playing with each other for years. And when they lost in the playoffs, the media was ripping them just as harshly as they were the Sixers, saying that, oh, the Celtics need to tear Tatum and Brown apart. They're just two wings. They can't coexist or whatever. Or Jokic and Murray aren't good enough defensively or whatever. But nah, man, they just stuck with it. And the organization actually put players who made sense next to them. Granted, the Celtics literally just built a super team. I don't think the Sixers will ever be as competent to be able to do that with the cap and everything. But hopefully one day, man. Hopefully one day we get to see a Sixers team at least make the conference finals.
Dude, number one on this list is Elton Brand. And the first line of this article says, I hate to do our current general manager like this. I forgot he's still there. How is he the current general manager?
Does he put in the AI prompt?
The structure of this front office doesn't even make sense. He's not the general manager. You never even see his face anywhere. He never goes up. He never goes to a press conference anymore. How's he the general manager?
Bro, the last time we saw Elton Brand was that one picture this offseason where people thought he was having dinner with LeBron, like in Philly, if you remember that. That was it.
I think it
wasn't LeBron. It wasn't LeBron, but
you don't think it was?
That's pretty much. Well, I don't think it actually was. I think it was just
he was the one with the backwards hat that they thought was LeBron.
Yeah, okay, something like that.
Yeah.
People were getting excited, but that's like the always seen from Elton Brand. The Sixers make no sense.
Yeah, I mean, this was a bad signing. 5 years, $82 million. But again, they weren't winning it. This was in 2008. They weren't good in 2008. They weren't gonna be good. So these signings, to me, they're not top of the list for me, because these signings didn't hold back a generational talent like Joel Embiid. Not even generational, once in a lifetime talent. And that's why I'm putting. I personally put Tobias Harris, I think, number one for me. And I think for me, I'm putting I can't yet put the Paul George thing ahead of Al Horford now that I think about it. But I'm going Tobias Harris, Al Horford, Paul George. Worst signings in NBA in 76ers history.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you did make an excellent point when it came to, I didn't think of it like that we signed Tobias in Joel Embiid's prime. You know what I mean? Like the maximum years that you can get out of him. So yeah, that definitely convinced me a little bit to remain Tobias at number one. But I think for PG and Horford for now, I'll have Paul George being the second worst signing in Sixers history, just because I thought that the Sixers were able to exit the Horford deal in a pretty decent way. Yeah, I had to attach that draft pick, but we're got Danny Green in return. He still had some juice left in him, and built a really good team the next year, like the first seed in the East. But yeah, I think if the pick falls outside the top six and the Thunder get it, I might have to move that Horford one to number two. But I think with the Paul George deal, just the fact that we waited so long to get this cap space plan, and then we use it on Tobias Harris 2.0.
It's
And
pretty
now we're
wild.
stuck.
Do you
We're
think?
stuck.
And Daryl Morey knows we're stuck. He's not stupid. I don't think I don't think he knows how to build a winning basketball team because he does everything much too analytically. But he's a smart person. Obviously,
Yeah.
He knows they suck. He knows these signings look terrible. He knows the fan base, and he's active on social media. He knows the fan base is pissed off. What do you think he's thinking like about this upcoming season? Do you think he's like, oh shit, we really gotta make a drastic move, or do you think he's like, fans are stupid, I don't care what they say? Because he seems to have that attitude too. You know what I mean? Fans are idiots. Cookie. They're just angry. They don't know what they're talking about. This is gonna work.
Yeah, Sixers fans are apparently motivated by anger. Like, bro, what else? What have they done to make us happy? Like, did you see the 1 million people at the Eagles parade? Like, it's almost like when your organization is well run and your team wins, your fans are happy. But when your organization is the most pathetic one in all of sports and constantly make decisions a 2-year-old wouldn't make, they get pissed off. Like it does.
Shocker. I know, right? Yeah, shocker. Everyone's angry. Yeah, they've been failing and failing and failing and failing and failing.
I mean, if Morey, if he like, I think of it, I compare the Paul George situation to Tobias because they're both really similar players. And I mean, we literally said that Paul George was the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's, but literally put them side by side in the year 2025. I think you could give an argument that Tobias Harris is actually better than Paul George, just slightly. And the bar for Paul George wasn't even that high, bro. We just wanted him to be better than Tobias Harris. And you can make an argument that Tobias has been better. And that's just another thing about the Sixers. Just whoever puts on a Sixers uniform just ends up sucking. I mean, that happened to Caleb Martin, who, I mean, like the Caleb Martin signing, I never really I checked it on my phone at work and I was like, all right, cool. I didn't kind of expect that because we already had Kelly Oubre and they're sort of similar players, like streaky shooters, athletic and all of that. But if they're like going to move off from Kelly, and I mean, Caleb Martin, he has shown what he could do in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics, like on Christmas Day. Yep. But they didn't move on from Kelly either. And Caleb just had those injury issues. But we got Quentin Grimes now. So at least we got another franchise cornerstone, at least because I mean, Quentin Grimes, he kind of reminds me of when you remember when Mikal Bridges got traded from the Suns to Brooklyn and he was averaging like 27 points per game.
Yep.
I think that's kind of like something Grimes is going through right now. He'll probably settle down a little bit if he gets that contract with the Sixers. I hope he does. I hope that's the Sixers' number one priority.
You think he's more realistically a high 15, 20 point per game off the bench kind of guy?
I mean, I think that kind of depends with the Sixers like franchise outlook these next couple of years, because I think Grimes, he can legitimately be a excellent starting player next to Maxey and McCain, just another 3-and-D wing. He's 6'5". I think he's 6'5", but could be a little bigger, but still he's entering his prime, can slide into that small forward position nicely. But it kind of depends on what they do in the NBA draft. I mean, talking about this before the show, but Yaku Chonis out of Illinois, that 6'6" point guard, he's somebody that the Sixers should be looking at, in my opinion, because I think something that the Maxey and McCain could really use is a big, fast point guard, not named Ben Simmons, who can run the floor and pass the ball, be kind of a utility player, because the Sixers, they already have scoring. Maxey, McCain, and Grimes, they are pure bucket getters. And I think filling out the roster with more of those, those utility guys who can, pass and work a pick and roll or whatever, that can really help them out, especially with them blitzing off ball with screens and all of that. So I definitely hope if the Sixers get their pick, at least in like the top 4, they should definitely look at him as someone to be the point guard for the future.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him in a minute. We're going to talk about him, and then we'll do a little Q&A with the chat. I want to talk about what we think about the future of Joel Embiid, maybe also, and whatever else you guys throw in the chat. This episode of Run It Back Philly is brought to you by Game Time Ticket App. And right now on Game Time Ticket App, here you go, Monday Sixers versus Pelicans. Look at the price. $1. $1 freaking dollar. You can sit on the floor for $220. I don't think there's courtside seats available because when a courtside seat pops up and I can sit courtside for $200, I'm going there. Because I'm going to make a statement and I'm probably going to get kicked out because I'm going to wear a Sell the Team t-shirt. So look out for that. But yeah, right now on Game Time, you can get 20% off your ticket purchase by using promo code CLNS. Game Time takes the fluff out of buying tickets. They tell you the best deals. You don't have to search all through Facebook Marketplace and wherever else to try to find tickets, or your friend's cousin that has season tickets or whatever. They're all right here. They tell you the best deal. They tell you the cheapest ticket overall. The absolute cheapest ticket in the house is right here. Upper level, $1. $1. You can watch the Sixers versus Pelicans on Monday. That is pretty unbelievable that we've fallen this far. But yeah, thank you to Game Time for sponsoring the channel. Again, you can get 20% off your ticket purchase by using promo code CLNS. And I didn't ask Game Time what happens with the $20 discount if you're buying a $1 ticket. But go ahead to gametime.co. Use promo code CLNS to get $20 off your ticket purchase. And yeah, Sixers tickets are $1 freaking dollar right now. That is pretty crazy. Oh yeah, I was going to share tankathon.com because there's a mock on here. Share screen. There's a mock that shows all of the potential draft picks: Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. The guy you're talking about is Kasparas Yakachunas.
Yeah, Yakuchonis. That's at least what the play-by-play commentators pronounced it on the highlights I watched.
Yakachonis. 6'6" point guard, shooting guard. So if we want a point guard who's big and fast and can pass the ball, but is not Ben Simmons. So we need to talk about if he can shoot the ball. Right.
Yeah.
First of all, is he a willing shooter? He does shoot 5 threes a game. That's a willing shooter.
Not bad.
32%, not great. But 5 threes a game.
At least he shoots. I mean, that's an upgrade from you know who.
At least he shoots. That is a start. And 85% from the free throw line. Massive upgrade from you know who.
Exactly, man. I mean, like, I was kind of comparing him to a kind of Josh Giddey type, you know what I mean? Who just likes to run the floor and pass. Like, he is a very streaky shooter, but I'm not necessarily looking at him to become a scorer immediately, especially when you got Maxey McCain handling the rock. I just think that he's someone who can really just set the pace, because what I want the Sixers to do is I want them to jack so much threes, because I know everybody doesn't like, the amount of 3-point shots being taken in the NBA. And yeah, it can definitely get boring, especially with the Boston Celtics. But the Boston Celtics literally won an NBA championship because they moved more, they leaned heavily into floor spacing, 5 out, shooting threes pretty much darn near every possession. And I think McCain, he's shown a lot more of having an offensive bag than we thought, like a nice pull up, very physical as well, man. That's a really underrated part of his game, just with how physical he can get going down the rack,
definitely
to the rack. But yeah, I just want the Sixers to completely clean house when it comes to their offensive scheme. Just become
I think I'm going I think if they can't get, for me perfectly, the perfect answer obviously is Cooper Flag. The second perfect answer for me is Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey, yeah.
If I can't get those two and we land at like 4 or 5, I think I'm trading down, man. I think maybe I'm trading down. Yeah, I think I'm going a top 10 pick center probably, or a stretch 4. A 6, 8, 9, 10 guy who can rebound and catch and shoot.
I wouldn't mind that either.
To pair next to a Dembona for the future, maybe.
For sure. I just think that I'm prioritizing more of a facilitating point guard, because I don't think that is really what Maxey and McCain are the best at. You know what I mean? Like, they're just flat out bucket getters, and putting all that playmaking pressure on them, I think that's kind of reducing their skill set and not maximizing
Yeah, that's true.
their potential as scorers. I mean, Maxey,
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
shown that he can have. Maxey McCain are both decent passers, and he's like averaging like near 7 assists this season, but he's not really like a kind of pass first type of guy. Like,
No.
I'm not saying he's ever going to become James Harden or anything, but I think just having that really good passer, whether it's a Drew Holiday or Derek White, the Celtics have both of them. I mean, Quentin Grimes, man, he's been getting comparisons.
Facilitating point guard, yeah.
Derek White, yeah.
Defensive facilitating point guard is something I've wanted on this team for a while.
But that power forward, man, stretch forward who could also rebound as well. That's definitely my number 2 priority. And I think when it comes to trading down, that definitely makes sense. I will be picking Yaku Chonis if I was the GM or my 2K25 GM simulations. But I think it just kind of depends on who you trade down for.
I think back to comparing Maxey and McCain. I think McCain is much more of has much more point guard tendencies. He runs a pick and roll a lot better, and he seems like just a higher IQ player with the ball in his hands, whereas Max is just bucket. Let me score, and which he's great at. Which I don't think we have to try to make him something he's not. I think he's a flat out bucket getter, and we should put him in every situation possible to just be a scorer and playmaker second. I think McCain is a much better playmaker and ball handler, floor general type than Maxey. But I think Jared McCain is also so good at scoring that, even though he can, maybe you don't want him to be running point because then you're limiting him offensively for what, because we've seen shades of like Steph Curry from that kid in just a couple of games where, like running baseline, popping out the corner, getting the ball, kicking it out, getting it back, catch and shoot 3, like just running and catching and shooting and scoring on all 3 levels. So maybe a bigger, more defensive facilitating point guard would make sense. But then you're looking at Maxey McCain and Grimes plus
I was going to say that's
my very small lineup.
What I got to say about that is this might sound a little crazy, but would you think it's crazy to have McCain maybe be the 6th man? I mean, James Harden, he turned out pretty well, and he was a 6th man his first couple of years in the league, and I don't think that's really a nuts thing to say, just to have McCain come off the bench. I mean, he could play a lot of minutes too. But I got another question for you, man. You watched Allen Iverson's rookie year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I always want to know this. So from what you've seen out of McCain, were you more impressed with McCain's rookie season in like the sample size than you were with AI at the time? If you could even go back that far.
No.
Really?
No. Allen Iverson is the fastest player I've ever seen play basketball, and it's not even close. And I haven't seen anybody as quick since. His quickness was mind-boggling, dude. It was nobody could even come close to guarding him one-on-one. It was unbelievable quickness. It's why it was why it was a consensus unanimous number 1 pick in the draft at only 5'11". He was lightning quick. It was unbelievable. But I think McCain is number 2, maybe in most impressive, like shockingly impressive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he's up there because I didn't expect it at all from him. Allen Iverson was known as this guy, nobody can guard him. He's in college, high school, and everybody knew he's going to come in the NBA and he's going to be very difficult to guard because he's just lightning fast with the ball in his hands. McCain was totally unexpected. I didn't know anything about him really. And I knew he could score. I knew he was a good, efficient scorer on the college level, but I didn't know it would translate to the NBA immediately. So
right. Yeah. I mean, AI had hops too. Like, dude, that one highlight, I don't know if you remember this, but someone missed a shot. Then AI just leaps all the way up, bro, head above the rim, slams it. He was just such a freak athlete. But I mean, I brought that up because with McCain, like we really I think he had like the most stretches with like 20 plus point games for a rookie ever. I think AI did actually have a 50-point game in his rookie season. But dude, just with how smooth McCain's game was and how much he already looked like a veteran player with his IQ and everything, that really stood out to me.
His composure, his confidence, and his composure were unbelievable, off the charts. There's no like nervousness at all with that guy. It's like he knew I'm the best player on the floor right now. Like, you know how crazy it is to have that level of confidence as a rookie?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you asked me something else before that. I forget.
I think that was it.
Do we think like I'm so I don't know what to I don't know. I still can't
Are we going to
until
talk about Embiid's future?
yeah, and Paul George, like it just none of it really makes any sense. We can't really talk about the up next season or anything until something happens, I guess, around the end of the season or July, because like the Joel Embiid Paul George thing is just going to have us in limbo because
Yeah.
it seems like some people still think they're going to come back next season, and when they're healthy, it's all going to look like it was supposed to look. And I'm like, is that really what we're going to try to do? That sounds insane to me.
I mean, the Joel Embiid I saw this season was not the Joel Embiid I was used to, man. He did not look like the guy we thought he was during
Right.
his entire prime. He did not look. He literally couldn't move. Like, what else can I say about that? He could not move on the basketball court. I have
Right.
no idea what's going on with him. We don't have any updates. And I mean, we should kind of expect that because the Sixers love to just hide everything
Yeah.
when it comes to what's going on in the inner workings of their organization. So I don't know if Embiid's like getting that other surgery or something, and whether he will be good to go, or whether they're discussing like possibly a medical retirement. And then Paul George, like with the injections, I think they definitely gave him those injections or something. They knew they were going to shut him down way before they actually announced it like 2 days ago. I think they just wanted the NBA to get off their back.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. Joel Embiid. It's interesting because if so, the thing came out like there's basically probably two options. Like every sports doctor that makes a video or a tweet about it, everybody basically said there's basically two options. He can get some kind of procedure where they take a piece of bone from his hip and strengthen the knee joint with it, which sounds insane, or try to find a donor and have a meniscus transplant, which also sounds insane
Lonzo
because
Ball did that, right?
yeah, and he was out of the league for 2 entire seasons, trying to get that right. And you could go through that. You could go through a year or two of rehab with a transplant, and then you could still have infection and knee swelling and all kinds of other problems because it's not your meniscus, it's somebody else's. It's so complicated. It sounds crazy to try to do that at
He's
this point.
31 too.
It
It's not like
sounds
he's 23
yeah,
anymore.
it sounds crazy to try to do that. And the thing is, if they were going to do something like that, the recovery time would be so long that you think they would start it right now. You would think that we would have already heard something, and we've heard absolutely nothing. So it's like, what the hell is going on with Joel Embiid, and what's going to happen? I don't even know how to really assess it.
Yeah, I don't know if he has any like. It sucks that we've had to get to this point with Embiid because he was the first like true blooded superstar I grew up with, and it was such a joy watching him play. One of the best parts of my day was tuning in and watching Joel Embiid play the game of basketball, and he is first ballot Hall of Famer, MVP. Gonna get his jersey hung in the rafters one day, and I'm gonna just some tears are gonna come to my eyes when his jersey retirement ceremony happens. But I just think you got to be realistic at this point, man. Time things move, things change. The Sixers have this new young core, and Paul George and Joel Embiid. It looks bleak. I don't know
Right.
if it's even worth it to go through all these procedures, only to him still look not the same on the court. Not enough for the Sixers to remain contenders. And now
No.
it's bleeding into the Maxey and McCain era, and you're not tailoring the roster to their skill sets, and now they're falling behind the rest of the league. Like, you got these up and coming teams, man, like the Pistons, like the Magic, like the rest of the NBA isn't going to stop for the Sixers. So they have a lot of heavy decisions to make. I don't know if Daryl Morey is going to. Do you think Daryl Morey's gone? I think Nick Nurse is definitely gone. I don't know about Daryl Morey though.
I think Josh Harris is going to get rid of both of them, and I think it's only going to be because Josh Harris knows to get these fans to come back next season, there has to be a major change. You know what I mean? I think that's why he fired Doc Rivers a couple years ago. I don't think Josh Harris knew anything about Doc Rivers' coaching style or why the fans hated him. He just knew the same thing happened 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row. There needs to be a major change. He's just selling a product. He it's 2K. Update the roster, change a couple things, and paste the 2K26 on the front and sell it again. He knows what he's doing, and that's what he has to do. You can't sell 2K25 3 times. You got to change something and sell 2K26. Is the game still going to suck? Yes.
2K sucks so much, bro. Most washed
That's what this
video
is.
game franchise of all time. The Sixers are literally 2K of the actual NBA. But yeah, I mean, maybe like he brings in his pal Magic Johnson, Bob Myers. I wish Bob Myers. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want Bob Myers to run this organization, because you saw what he did with the Warriors in their rebound year in 2022, won the championship. They just surrounded Clay, Curry, and Draymond with all these young dudes. Jordan Poole, Kuminga, probably missed but who else? Gary Payne II or something. A whole bunch of other guys too. And yeah, they were able to win a championship on the back of Steph Curry. But I hope that's something that the Sixers finally embrace, is just youth and athleticism. And as you always say, bro, it's just not rocket science.
Yeah, people don't want to give Bob Myers all the credit because he didn't draft those guys. But as far as the depth on those teams and how good defensively they were, and that bench, that 2016 bench had like Sean Livingston and Leandro Barbosa, and there were so many good players. Iguodala. That was all Bob Myers putting together that depth on that team.
Even like JaVale McGee too. Like those guys were solid NBA role players. He just knew what worked for a superstar.
Yes,
Stephen Curry.
Exactly. Build around these guys.
An undersized guard. So what do? Just shove him alongside a bunch of 6'6" players who are freak athletes. And like, yeah, I mean, you're not going to, they don't just come around, you can't just, pick one off the street or something, but there are ways you could just navigate with trades and free agency and the NBA draft. And the Warriors, they really knew what they were doing. And I think Bob Myers did have a lot of influence on that. And yeah, Maxey McCain, they're both undersized guards too. And he knows how to work with them. So I think if he comes to Philly, work out.
CK says, what is the craziest thing you see happening this offseason? Could they get rid of Nurse, Morey, Paul George, and Embiid? I think, honestly, dude, I think so. I really do. And I think it's because, again, your job as an owner is to get this fan base excited to come back to the arena. This fan base is so far from excited to come back to this arena right now. They want nothing to do with this. They feel allergic to the 76ers arena. They don't want to go anywhere near it. And across, I would say 98% of the fan base, they're screaming clean house. They're screaming, stop it. It's over with. Clean house. Basically, any Sixers fan I talk to out in the real world says they need to clean house. It seems like the general opinion. And if you want to get the fan base excited to come back, you're going to have to completely clean house and start over. You're going to have to get, hey, we cleaned house. We don't know what's going to happen, but you're not going to see the same bullshit you watched for the last 2 years. It's something brand new and different. Please come back, I guess. I feel like that has to happen.
I love a complete reset, to be 100% honest. I think enough is enough. We tried with Joel Embiid. The organization has failed Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's body has failed him. Does that make him 100% absolved from his playoff failures? No, but the Sixers did not do a good enough job building around him. I mean, they signed Tobias Harris to a max contract, for Pete's sake. I knew they were kind of pressured too with everything going on with like Ben Simmons and Brett Brown and Jimmy Butler especially, but they had it, man. They had the formula. They had the assets to build a truly good team around Joel Embiid, but it just never played out. It never played out, and I think enough is enough. You have this young core, and it's time to move forward.
I think Joel could be taking steps toward possibly requesting a trade. How crazy do you think that could be? Because when the Shams rumor came out, where Shams was on ESPN saying that Joel Embiid is frustrated with the way that the 76ers are handling his knee injury. Basically, it seems like they've been trying to force him to play back in.
He went right to Josh Harris, right?
Yeah, he went right. Yeah, he went right to Josh Harris. It seems like they were trying to tell him, like, you need to play into shape. This is the only way it's going to get better is for you to play, which might be true. He apparently disagreed with that and thought that he thinks that he needs another procedure. He needs something else, and the team wasn't listening to him. So there's some kind of frustration already building there between Joel Embiid and the front office. Could this turn into Joel Embiid salvaging the next couple years of his career by blaming the whole thing on the Sixers and saying, like, look, I'm injured, yes, but they handled me completely wrong. I still have a lot left in the tank. I just need the right care and procedure for the knee. And then another team could be interested in paying that. I mean, I say a lot of times you can't trade him, but if you look at it in that way, another franchise is going to take a chance on Joel Embiid. They're gonna say, yeah, it's 3 years, $50 million a year. It's max money for a guy that couldn't play last season, but we might be able to fix. There's going to be a team, I think, that would take a chance on that.
I mean, the chances are pretty low, but I saw Ben Simmons get traded. I saw Ben Simmons, who passed up a wide open dunk couldn't dunk over Trae Young. The dude's 6'10", had possibly the most embarrassing playoff series of all time from what is expected out of an all-star. Just so embarrassing from Ben Simmons. Had probably one of the worst seasons for his reputation ever out of anybody who made like an all-NBA team at least once. And Daryl Morey was able to move off of him, or the Sixers were able to handle getting him out of town. So I think if Ben Simmons can be traded, it took a while. It took a really long time and a lot of BS.
It took giving up 2 additional first-round picks also.
Yeah, and
to get Harden back.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like, is Paul George and Joel Embiid, are they really that valuable at this point, especially with those contracts? Which contender is going to see any of those guys as legit assets? I have no idea.
Remember, Zach LaVine seemed untradeable like 2 years ago and even last offseason, and now the Paul George situation, makes Zach LaVine's situation look light. Like, he's making like 40 or 45, and he's actually a good NBA scorer who's like relatively healthy most of the time.
And like 27. He's like 28 years old too. It's like he's still in the midst of his prime, but Embiid,
if he was untradeable on that contract, Paul George is totally untradeable at 34 years old.
Right. Oh yeah, I see your point, man. I mean, they weren't even willing to move off of Tobias's contract either. So, but I mean, if Morey gets the boot and the Sixers try and get, Magic Johnson, Bob Myers or something, I'd be open for that. I just want a complete reset. And I think you got to do it one step at a time. I don't know if the Sixers are going to declare a straight up fire sale, but if you move on from Paul George, at least, and then just maybe Joel Embiid comes back and can play sort of more of like a Tim Duncan style of ball, just kind of focus a lot on defense and rebounding, really hand the keys over to Tyrese Maxey. Maybe, like, that's the most optimistic scenario for me, but I don't know. I feel like a complete reset, a clean reset, no more Morey, no more Nurse, no more Embiid, no more Paul George. I feel like that's too good to be true at this point.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't see the way Joel Embiid was moving this year. It seems so unrealistic to me that he's going to all of a sudden be jumping at the rim and blocking shots and dunking on people and all this. It just doesn't seem like he's ever going to get back there, and that sucks.
It does.
Yeah, but we're going to be basically saying this same thing from now until October of this year. So stay tuned for, 7 months of us saying we need to start over, and we'll see if it happens by then.
It's going to be a crazy offseason. I feel it.
Yeah, we'll do these collabs, man. We'll do these collabs as much as we can, man. So yeah, thanks for coming through, NZ. Thanks for multi-streaming it over to your YouTube channel. Shout out to all the live viewers over there. Shout out to all the live viewers on the Run It Back Philly Twitch channel and on Twitter. I will be back on YouTube live at some point in like 65 days, I think. So
dang, so you can't do a draft stream? Oh, that sucks, man.
No, I can't do anything live on YouTube.
Well,
I can do it on Twitch. We got 98 people, so the Twitch channel's working a little bit. I can't complain too much, man.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, man, anything else you got, man? Thanks for coming through again.
Nah, I mean, that's pretty much all my Sixers yapping for today. Therapy session, man, really helped out a lot. It's just so like where we are at like I still don't. I never thought that 2020 season, with how hopeless I felt personally, since you had Al Horford on that terrible contract, Josh Richardson too, and everything else. I just never thought that you could have a season worse than that. I thought that was rock bottom for the Joel Embiid era, but here we are now. But in Sixers land, there's always some. This is the bad future.
100%. Yeah, this is the 100% the worst Sixers season I've ever seen.
For sure. And if massive change happens this offseason, I'm all for it. If they get that top 6 pick, I might be feeling a little bit more optimistic. But I think like if they get the number 6 spot in the Tankathon leaderboard, I think it's just below a coin flip of getting the top 6 back. I think like 46%. But for the Sixers, that's like 20%. Yeah, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
If they lose the lottery and land in like the 9th spot or something, it's especially live at the Ricky Sanchez rights to Ricky Sanchez lottery party, dude. That would be, dude. They might burn the building down. The fans might burn down the Xfinity Live Center if that happens. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go, and dude, I'm gonna go. Sick. I think I'm gonna go at least live on Twitch on my phone. In the thing.
I mean, yeah, you did say you were starting a like another YouTube channel where you're gonna do like vlog stuff. So I mean, that'd be sick to go over to that Ricky Sanchez party is gonna be, with everything that has transpired this season, just with how weird everything that building is going to be rocking.
It absolutely is.
And it's gonna be hilarious if they don't get the pick, but it's gonna be so awesome if they do. That would be just such a legendary moment. But we could only dream. Just only dream, man.
Yes, it will. All right, man. Thanks for coming through again. Thanks to all the live viewers. Love you guys. We'll see you very soon. NZ for 3, Run It Back Philly. We are out.
Peace.